Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on The Winter's Tale and we are almost done with Act 4, Scene 4. We get to hear from Autolycus today and then tomorrow, and then we're done with Act 4, Scene 4, but we still have Act 5 to get to. So Autolycus made out like a bandit. He sold all of his stuff and then picked everybody's pockets at the sheep shearing festival and made it back in time to overhear the clown and the shepherd talking about the fact that Perdita is not actually the shepherd's daughter. He wasn't quite aware that that's what he was overhearing, but he heard some stuff between the clown and the shepherd. And the clown and the shepherd have the stuff that was left with Perdita when she was abandoned that they want to take to the king to show him that she's not really the shepherd's daughter, therefore the shepherd doesn't need to be killed for the fact that Perdita and Florizel want to get married and have now actually run away to Sicilia to see if Leontes can help them. Camillo went and got Polixenes, the king, and is hoping that Polixenes is going to follow after to Sicilia so Camillo can get on that boat and eventually make it home. So Autolycus overhears the clown and the shepherd, and he's like, I wonder what it is that they're talking about, because he's just in that mood where he's going to take advantage of anyone and anything that he possibly can. So he approaches them, and he's like, who are you, and where are you going, and what are you talking about? And he's dressed fairly nicely right now, because remember, he and Florizel had swapped clothes so that Florizel could sneak out of the city without anybody noticing. So he's dressed fairly nicely, and they're like, oh, if it please your honor, we need to talk to the king and all this sort of stuff. And Autolycus is like, well, do you have anybody to advocate on your behalf? And they're like, no, we were just gonna go. We have to. And Autolycus is like, well, what do you need to talk to him about? And they're like, well, that's actually something specifically just for the king. We're not gonna tell you. And Autolycus is like, well, the king isn't at home. The king is on a boat. And they're like, what? And they're like, yeah. And Autolycus is like, yeah, there was all that hubbub about, his son wanting to marry a shepherd's daughter. And oh my goodness, wouldn't it be terrible to be that shepherd? Like, he's going to be killed in the most horrible ways. And you can imagine that at this point, the shepherd is being like, and the clown is probably also doing something similar because he's like, did you happen to hear if that shepherd has a son? Because he's trying to feel out what the general sentiment is about what's going to happen in response to Florizel and Perdita and that whole situation. And Autolycus says, he has a son who shall be flayed alive, then anointed over with honey, set on the head of a wasp's nest, then stand till he be 3/4 in a dram dead, then recovered again with aquavitae or some other hot infusion. Then, raw as he is, and in the hottest day, prognostication proclaims, shall he set against a brick wall, the sun looking with a southward eye upon him, where he is to behold him with flies blown to death. But what talk we of these traitorly rascals, whose miseries are to be smiled at, their offences being so capital? Tell me, for you seem to be honest plain men, what you have to the king. Being something gently considered, I'll bring you where he is aboard. Tender your persons to his presence, whisper him in your behalves, and, if it be in man, besides the king, to effect your suits, here is man shall do it. So the first half of this, he's trying to scare the clown in the same way that he scared the shepherd. So he's describing how the clown is going to be punished by being, his skin ripped off and coated in honey and put on a wasp's nest until he's almost dead, but then brought back and just left out to bake in the sun against this brick wall. And he's like, but why are we even talking about them? Let's talk about you. Tell me what's going on with you, and maybe I can help. Maybe I can fix it. If you tell me what it is, I'll take you to where the king is, and maybe, I can get you audience with him and I can advocate on your behalf. Or, if somebody is aside from the king can help you, maybe I could do that. And the clown and the shepherd are so scared at this point. They're like, yes, please. They turn it. They're like, he looks like he's dressed in such a way that maybe he could actually help. So let's actually help. So they end up giving Autolycus all of the money that they have on them so that Autolycus will take them to where the king is and help them plead their case. And Autolycus is like, yeah, great. So the shepherd and the clown leave slightly ahead of Autolycus, and Autolycus has one more moment on stage to let us know who he is as a character, and we will get to hear that as tomorrow's monologue. So I will see you then for more.